Now I'm so excited for this to get Tami on here. Um, Hello, we made it.
Yay!
We did it. So I mean, Tami's going to get so sick of hearing me say this, but I just can't get enough of her book, Muted. It is one of the most enthralling YAs I have read in years. It is coming out next year, next spring, and again, my experience of reading it for the first time, just like my jaw was to the ground. I just kept reading and kept reading. It's amazing. Now, I will also say it's very difficult for us to have a craft conversation because one of the best things about it is there are lots of twists and turns, and since the book is not out yet, we're going to try to steer away from those twists and turns. So to start off, again, can you tell the audience a little bit about what the book is about?
Sure. So this is Muted, YA novel in verse. I've heard it like be called a thriller. So that's pretty interesting that, people are calling it a thriller. I'll take it. Sure, it's a thriller. Um, it is a story about 17-year-old Denver and her friends Shaq and Dali. And together they have like this big dream of being stars. And they get that chance when they meet, sing for, and then start recording a demo with legendary R&B singer, songwriter, producer Ellis. He's an angel at first, but a monster in the end. And Denver realizes that it's on her to raise her voice and mute that monster and kind of like reclaim her power back, for herself and for her friends.
All right, now I love the concept of a verse thriller. Like I feel like you and Jason Reynolds for Long Way Down, like that's in the category of verse thriller. That might be the two novels I would categorize that as, and I think it's a thriller insofar as it's so enthralling. Once you're in
Thank
it, you
you.
don't want to leave it. So I do want to first. The beginning question is, I mean, your choice to do it in verse is not the conventional choice. I mean, it is a deeply effective choice. But I would love to talk again, especially because we have a lot of aspiring writers watching, sort of about that choice. I mean, did you always know it was going to be in verse? Did you try it another way, and that was the form it took? And did you ever doubt that choice as you were writing it?
So this story was titled something else. I started writing Muted about 6 years ago, and I wrote it in prose.
Huh.
And ironically, I couldn't get past writing 60 pages. Um, there was a lot that was different at the time. At the time, I made the choice for the character to aspire to be an actress, not so much a singer. And there was no singing group. But what was the same was that this aspiring star actress, teen actress, was, on a flight home retelling the story of, what happened, like how she went on this quest for fame. So all of that remained, but like I said, I couldn't get past it. It just wasn't working for me in prose. So then this other thing happened where my agent had submitted a manuscript to an editor who had passed, and the editor, it was a nice pass because that's, par for the course in this industry, but the editor had written her back and said, hey, I just checked Tami's website, and that's pretty cool that she used to be in a singing group. If she ever writes a novel about that,
Hmm.
I'd like to see it. So my agent, of course, is like, you've got to write a book about a singing group. And I'm like, I just wasn't feeling it,
Right.
So I just kind of like paused and went on to other things. But as time went by, these Me Too stories started really exploding. And then I started seeing like more and more, documentaries and articles and videos about that Me Too era, like in the music industry. And that's when that light bulb went off, like ding ding. Oh, I know this world. Like I used to be in this world when I was in a singing group and we were trying to become stars. So the light bulb clicked and I was like, I don't know why I'm writing about this aspiring actress.
Yeah.
I need to write about a singing group. So I did, and it felt natural to switch to verse because I wanted the book to feel like an album. And when you read the book, there's actual like original songs in the book, which kind of like serve as a bridge to tell the story. So I had to do it in verse from there.
That's great. All right, so talking about the middle, I mean, it is an extremely honest book. And sort of I'm going to ask a two-part question because you were, again, without getting into the details, but there are some very hard things that happen in the book to Denver and to her friends. And so the two-part is first, you knew you were writing a YA novel, and did that affect how you chose to treat the things that happen? And then the second one, again, because this is a craft panel, I think a lot of the writers in the audience are probably trying to write books about tough subjects or with hard scenes. So I would love any advice you could give about empowering yourself to sort of take on the truth in your writing, even when it is painful.
Oh gosh, yeah, it's really hard writing about tough topics, especially if you're writing about a world that you yourself have been in. And being in that world, I could easily see how girls could have been exploited and fallen down the rabbit hole. So one thing I'd like to say is I write middle grade as well as YA. And my approach to this particular book was I can get away with a lot more in YA than I can in middle grade. But that doesn't take away the difficulty of writing about teen girls being exploited by men in power in the music industry. So I knew I had to, speak the truth, but I didn't want to do it in a conventional way. I tried to do it in a way that felt fresh and fast.
Mm-hmm.
And I also tried to do it in a way where I didn't like didactically tell the reader, like, this is what happened and here's how you should feel. I tried to leave some nuance in there. Two things that come to mind. There's a scene when Shaq tells Denver and Dali that Merck actually asked her for a half-naked picture and they don't believe her. First of all, there's no proof of it. All they have is her word. He didn't text her. We don't know exactly what he said to her, but as the reader, we have to make a choice. Like, do we believe her? Like, and then we have to also kind of imagine what did that conversation look like? So that's the level of nuance that I tried to weave in there. And also there's another scene where Denver and her parents are like fighting all the time. So there's this like breakdown of the family. Her family life is falling apart. And at the same time, she has this opportunity to go and be this star that Merck has promised her. And they're just like, they're really ignoring her and telling her no. So in order for her to convey those feelings, because the deterioration is a tough topic to write about, I chose to have the character write a song about it.
Uh-huh.
So, you can certainly do these tough topics. You just got to find your own ways to like approach it. And in my case, like I tried to do it with like text messages and songwriting.
That's a great
but you got to get it out because people
yeah.
need to read it,
Yeah, no, and I love the advice of, if it's not working in one way, try to do it another way to get it out. No, that's great advice. All right.
I even tried drawing too. I tried sketching and drawing to get some of those things out. Those didn't make it into the book.
we all have our outtakes, right? All right, so since we're almost out of time, your ending question, I'm also going to make a beginning question, which is the question of, so how do you step out of one book and move on to the next book? I mean, especially with a story as intense as Muted, sort of what is it like to sort of say, okay, this is done, I'm now going to move on to something else?
This is very, very hard.
Yeah.
Like, if I could email Amanda right now and say, hey, can I change this and can I change that? Like, I totally
just like
would.
Jennifer, yeah.
I think that's why deadlines exist, is because at some point we have to just step away. It's very hard when that's your baby. Like this is my child, and I'm so scared to let her out into the world because I don't know how people are going to perceive, but at some point you just have to know that I tried my best. I did the best that I could with this story to tell, to tell Denver's story. I hope that people will be inspired. I think some will be triggered,
Yeah.
but I hope like in all the best ways, kind of like in a call
Right.
to
A
action kind
cathartic
of
way,
way.
yeah.
And as far as moving on, that's been hard. It's been hard to like move on to new projects because 2020
Right, right.
pandemic,
Fair, right,
the
right. There's a lot
usual.
going on, right? Yeah.
Kind of a lot going on. But I will say this, I have put it to the side. I am just going to, trust the process, hope people love it. And in the meantime, I'm writing new poetry and hopefully something will turn into a book.
Awesome. Well, I look forward to it. And again, everybody who's watching, you have something so amazing to look forward to when Muted is out next year. It is the book that everyone will be talking about. All right, and now we're at the end of our time. So thank you, Tami, and thanks to all the other authors, and thank you all for watching. I hope you
Thank
have an
you.
amazing Y'all Write Day. There's so much amazing stuff that you have to do today, but we really appreciate you getting up early to watch us all. So thank you all. Bye-bye.
Bye.